Get ready with me and get to know me part 2. I ended up graduating high school a year early. So I ended up graduating when I was 16. So technically it was when I was in grade 11, but I completed all of my grade 12 stuff. That was like not necessarily planned. It just kind of happened. Oh, and the hiccups are still here. It actually all started with a civics and careers class. When you were in grade 8, graduating elementary school, you could take the civics and careers class online in between the summer between grade 8 and grade 9. So my brother, who was a year ahead of me, was doing that. So I was like, I'll do that. I'll get one class done. That ended up being super easy. And I was always thinking if I ever ended up booking an acting role, when you're a kid, you have to do on-set school. So I was like, oh, I won't have to do as much tutoring if I have a smaller like class load. So my game plan was to try to do another one the next summer. I ended up doing that. I don't know if I did 2 that summer. Anyways, long story long, I kind of started getting ahead. And then by the time I was in grade 11, I realized I was like, oh, I only have a few electives left. I don't want to stay back for like a gym class in grade 12. So my final semester, I ended up just taking on a bunch of extra classes and I ended up finishing early. At that point too, it might sound kind of silly, but I was just like ready to kind of move on. And I was like kind of over high school and I just kind of wanted to start my life. So I was just ready to get out of there. I also knew that I wanted to start a YouTube channel. I was obsessed with watching YouTubers and like the beauty scene at this point, probably from like 2010 to 2011, 2012. I got so into it and discovered makeup. At this point, I'm 16, I'm about to finish school. Obviously my mom was a teacher and she was like, of course I want you to get some form of post-secondary. My whole life I thought I was gonna be an actor and I was like, well, you don't need to necessarily get a degree to keep doing that. I was kind of in this weird like crisis. I didn't necessarily see a direction that I wanted to go into. I of course wanted to appease my parents, make them happy. I feel like there's a lot of talk about like having a backup plan at this point too, especially if you have any, creative dreams or a dream in the arts. And I was always kind of like, I don't want to do a plan B or have a plan B. Like I'm just gonna make plan A work. We ended up moving to the city. We all moved to Toronto. At this point, I was supposed to be going to university. I ended up accepting creative industries at TMU. It was Ryerson at the time. And I was very much so like, if I had to go to university, that would have been the course that I would have done. But I just didn't want to go at all. I knew it was like deep in my soul, it was not right for me. And I was just like dreading the day that it was getting closer and closer. At this point, I think my mom could tell that I was dreading it. And she said I could take a gap year and just take a year off. I'd worked so hard. We were moving to a new city, take a year, work, and take some time. Also, in hindsight, when I think about it, I'm like, me at 16 going to university, like I just, socially, I don't think it would have been weird. Like I'm so glad that didn't happen. Ended up working at Lush at the Eaton Center. I had the best time. It was like the best first like regular job, not acting job ever. As much as there were some lows, I do look back at my teenage years very fondly, especially that era of life. I was just like obsessed with boy bands and concerts, and I got to live in Toronto now and I could go to concerts all the time. I loved like One Direction and social media and YouTube and just was loving the internet, knew I was gonna start a YouTube channel. But then at this point, I'm like, oh no, I'm like 4 or 5 months into my gap year. That flew by. The next 5 or 6 months, it's gonna fly by and I'm gonna have to go to university and I'm gonna be miserable. Like I'm just putting off the inevitable that's gonna make me super unhappy. Around this time, my concert bestie wins a One Direction contest and we get to go down to Florida for a new album release, and we were a part of this like TV special, and there was a lot of like online momentum going on, and I was kind of like, oh, this is the perfect time for me to launch my channel.
All right.
I end up posting the first YouTube video and it ends up getting views and I'm starting to gain some subscribers. There's some momentum happening. Timing is definitely a huge part of it, and it's interesting to look back at it now. I don't even know how I had the foresight to know and like strategize. I didn't think that's what it was at the time, but it kind of was happening that way. I was definitely very intentional about the launch of it all. Okay, go to part 3.